Hello everyone, Xfloin here, and today I will show you my Hexblast Despair caster build, which is on Bloodmage, and this is pretty fun build to play with. It does quite a lot of damage. It does quite a lot of damage to the bosses as well. So in this video, I'll show you my take on this build, how I configured the gems, what kind of items did I had, and how easy transition from the Spark Bloodmage was. So first of all, what we are doing with this skill. So as you can see, we are casting our Despair. And since our Despair has the Orderous Undoing Lineage support gem, it makes Cursed Ground. Whenever mobs appears in that Cursed Ground, they take damage and they explode. So this is basically what we're doing during the regular mapping, and we have no problems doing really juiced up daily maps, tier 15, tier 16, overrun by abysses. And on bosses, we're using Hexblast, which at the moment shows 12.7 million kind of damage. And this basically deletes all the endgame content as well. So first of all, let's probably just go over the items and selection which you can actually use, because I have a few different options right here to show you. So first of all, obviously, let's go over the weapon. So on the weapon, using the Dwelling Wand, and on here, all you want to have as much as you can: spell damage, chaos damage, plus level of all chaos spell skills. In my case, I took critical hit chance and increased cast speed. I mean, this one is pretty bad. I bought it like for 100 exalt. You can get with +6 all chaos spell skills if you have some enough money, but I just wanted to try this build out, so I actually found this one for 100 exalt, so this was pretty cheap, and you can get way better weapon than this one. So on the helmet, it's same story as for the from the Spark Bloodmage. It's Well of the Night, just because of we are still having a lot of HP here. So as a downside, we have no elemental resistances, but you have 50% increase more maximum life. Also, we're using double sockets with a +80 to maximum life as well. On the focus, obviously, Rat Pit Globe. If you want, if you can get with 3 sockets. If you cannot afford it, get with the 2 sockets, and with as high rolls as you can get. Mine is pretty bad, but it works in this case. On the armor, same story from the Spark Bloodmage, Calm's Heart, just because it gives so much of maximum life for us. As downside, we don't have any spirit, but we really do not care about that much. And we're using 3 soul cores for increased maximum life in this case. Then moving on next, how we enable this build, playing with and casting non-stop our skill, is unique boots called Windscream. And the main line of this is curses have no activation delay. So in this case, we can cast our curses and they have no activation delay. So that's why we can cast it like non-stop in our case. If you want, you can get some curse activation delay jewels in your passive tree and get some rare boots with movement speed, because downside of this build is kind of pretty low movement speed. But we are kind of fixing everything together with Headhunter, which whenever you get some mods of the monsters, you can get pretty good speed out of it. But still, it doesn't compete as it would be good with normal rare boots. But this is just early prototype, which I did, so I just tried to see how does it work, and I decided to share it with you. So as I told, for the boots, just try to get with the 2 sockets. In both sockets, obviously, we're putting max life because we are trying to cap life. For the ring slots, all one of the rings is Seed of Cataclysm. I'm using this just because of crit hit chance and critical spell damage bonus, and nothing much more. I mean, yeah, it gives chaos resistance. That's good to have, but we do not really care about that much. And another ring is pretty bad on this. In my case, I haven't had time to upgrade it. It just has some flat life, increased cast speed, and increased spell damage while on full energy shield. So basically, just because of that. On the gloves, at the moment, I'm using gloves just for the gold drop rate, because I'm farming a little bit of gloves. But for the gloves, there's kind of few options which you can use. You can use Aziri Atsuiti, so you get leech from critical hits is instant, and since we are almost capped at a critical hit you get your leech instant. So as you can see, we can change it that, and we can check our critical hit chance is 100%. With those gloves is 93, with the gloves is 100%. So you can use those just to sustain your life a little bit better. If you want, you can use rare gloves, something like this, maybe even with 2 sockets with increased effect of Arcane Surge. So you'll get a little bit more cast speed and so on. So it actually depends on you. As I told you, I'm using this, which doesn't give me anything except some extra life, but it gives plenty of gold for me, so it works for me like this. Instead of Headhunter, you can use something like this, Darkness and True and Fine Belt, which basically increases our life. So you want to have at least 100% increase effect of socketed items, and then just slap 2 runes, which gives 3% increase maximum life. So with this one, we can scale our damage a little bit better. When it comes next for the amulet, I haven't showed the amulet yet. So for the amulet, I'm using rare amulet where we want spell damage, max life, +3 to all spell skills. If you can get with +4, that's good. For now, it's fine for me with +3. Increase critical damage bonus, cast speed, and some life. And we allocate a barbaric strength, which gives us 45% increased critical damage bonus. So with this one, you can get much more DPS, but if you want, you can actually use Defiance of Destiny amulet. With this one, you'll be much more tanky, but your DPS will go down pretty a lot. So it depends on you what do you want to do. In my case, I'm just using with this one. So for more DPS, since we're doing much harder content, I prefer to do this. And with the Headhunter, it makes things a little bit like more easier. So now we can go over the skill gems and what we're doing. So for the skill gems, we're using Sigil of Power, the power on second hand slot, only on the bosses. So since this stuff gives Sigil of Power, we just plant Sigil of Power, and we have some extra spell damage on here. And next we have basically 3 main skills. So Despair for normal clearing of the maps, just like this, where you run and cast it and everyone just dies around you. For the bossing, we have Hexblast and Enfeeble. So now, how does it work? Because Hexblast says detonate a curse on every enemy in area, causing explosions, for which at least half of the duration has expired. So we basically cast on bosses Enfeeble. This curse duration is 7.4 seconds. So in a little bit more than 3.5 seconds passed, we can already cast Hexblast, and it does quite a ton of the damage on the bosses. So this is basically how it works, and now we can just go over the support gems and how does it work. So on Hexblast, we're using Considered Casting, we're using Brutality 3, we're using Heft, we're using Atalos Bloodletting, and we're using Zenith 2. On Despair skill, we are using Life Tap, so it just converts it to life costs. We're using Deodrus Undoing, which is the main star of the build and how it enables all this build, because that's how you can damage enemies doing this. Then we're using Spell Echo, so it echoes the spell for us, so we don't need to cast so many times it. Then we're using Spell Cascade, so we have a bigger AoE but a little bit less damage, but that's fine for me. And last but not least, it's Ritualistic Curse, which gives increased area of effect, but it erupts after 30% more delay. But since we have no delay, we do not count this as downside for us. It doesn't work for us, so we just basically getting only benefits from this. If you want for the bossing, you can actually switch from Spell Cascade to Zenith, and it will increase your damage quite well, or on some tanky rare mobs, whatever you will encounter. So you can just basically switch Spell Cascade with Zenith. And on Enfeeble, I'm just using Life Tap and Heighten Curse, but this one is just basically just to curse the mobs, and then any tougher mobs, and then we can just blast them with the Hexblast. So now there's one more thing, how to check what kind of damage you're doing with Despair, because sadly it doesn't show in the tooltip what kind of damage we're doing. So easy way to check it, you just go over the any node which gives increased chaos damage or something like this. You press Alt, and it says so. Right now we are doing 90k DPS with this build per one zone. So basically, if we overlap 3 or 4 of them, it's going to be way higher. So this is how to check DPS of the skill itself. I explained the items, I explained the gems, and now we can just go over the passive skill tree and see how it goes. So yeah, we're using Bloodmage, that's obviously. So here we're taking increased max life, then 25% life loss from hits is prevented. Then I'm taking some spell damage leech as life. In this case, if you want, you can choose this one. For the Sanguine Tides, it gives much more damage into this. Or even you can check Whispers of the Flesh, which enemies you curse have at least 50% of life reserved. And since you curse them all the time, they always have 50% life less, basically. And here we're taking spell critical chance, base critical chance, increased critical hit chance for spells, and increased critical damage bonus per 50 life. So we stack our life, we're getting much more critical damage bonus in our case. And now all the nodes, we're just pathing like this, taking some crit spell damage nodes here, here, and here. Then we're moving forward, we're taking some more crit nodes. Then we move up here for the first gem which we're using. So I'm using some increased spell damage, increased critical hit chance, and critical spell damage bonus. Nothing too fancy. We go on top. On the top, we are just forwarding right here for increased 3% increased maximum life. Then we are moving forward. Another jewel socket, same thing. Crit hit chance, crit spell damage bonus, and spell damage. Then I'm taking few nodes here for increased cast speed and increased cast speed. As downside is it has increased mana cost of skill, but since we are not using mana, we are good with that. So I'm taking some cast speed nodes here. Then moving down on forward, we're taking this one, regenerate 1% life per second, and Arcane Surge grants more life regeneration instead of mana regeneration. And we're taking some of Arcane Surge nodes here, and 40% increase effect of Arcane Surge on you. Then moving on next, we're taking life spell damage, and this one increased life cost of skills, and increased spell damage with spells that cost life. So basically we are capping our life as much as we can, and we are getting more damage out of it. Moving on next, same story, critical damage bonus, critical damage bonus, critical damage bonus. Then moving on the right side, we can just cover this one. So I'm basically just going here for increased area of effect of curses, and here enemies you curse are hindered with 50% reduced movement speed. Then we are taking all the chaos nodes here for increased chaos damage and +1 to all level of all chaos skills. Then we are taking all the critical spell damage bonus nodes right here. Then the first another jewel is Undying Hate, is the same as for the Spark Bloodmage. We're just taking this one, and we are picking one node here just for regenerate 1 life per second per 8 life spent in the past 8 seconds. This is how we are sustaining our life, casting the skills, but basically it's the same as you would use on Spark Bloodmage. Then moving on next, we're taking increased chaos damage, and again 11% of damage as extra chaos damage. Then moving on next, we are forking out right here the jewel, increased spell damage, increased chaos damage, critical spell damage bonus, and recover 2% of maximum life on kill. I believe that's pretty good to have. At least one gem, which gives you 2% of recovery on max on kill. So it helps to get our life fast, quite like really fast. So then moving on next, we are taking all the critical damage bonus nodes and critical damage, as you can see, all those wheels right here. Then we are pathing right here for increased chaos damage, and some increased movement speed, increased chaos damage attributes and stuff like that. And then moving on forward, we are taking increased critical damage bonus, reduced critical hit chance, but we're getting much more bonus on this. And last but not least, we are taking life regen, and 3% maximum life on this, and what 10% increased life recovery rate. And I still have one spare socket, which I haven't put it yet, but I'll just have to find it. So this is basically how it works. It's pretty easy to transition from the Spark Bloodmage, and you can do quite well with this build as well. So in this one, that's probably it. So one more thing, how we do scale our despair damage. Basically, it just scales up either through your intelligence, either to critical damage bonus. There's only two ways how we can scale it. So since we are not scaling our intelligence on our case, like what it says, yeah, explosion deals base cast damage equal to 200% of your intelligence. So since we are not having any intelligence stacking, just because we're using plenty of unique items, so there's not much places where you can put intelligent nodes in it, we are taking different approach, and we are trying to get as much as we can get of critical damage bonus, and this way we're just getting more damage out of it. So as you saw, my damage right now, it shows around 90k per one Hexblast, and since we are launching 3 of them and 3 of them can overlap, so that's around like 270k damage per one cast if we want to do that. But usually it's enough just to walk like this and just to, blast everyone. As I told you, the downside of this is kind of lackluster movement speed, because we're just getting a little bit movement speed from our boots, and basically that's it. But in my opinion, this is really good to have boots to have, and those are like cost nothing, so you can just basically get them for free, like only a couple of exalts, and you can start playing like this. Later, as I told you, if you want, you can just replace those with the movement speed boots, get curse activation delay jewels in your skill tree, get a belt with sockets with increased movement speed, and then you can get at least 70% movement speed or so. You can walk through the maps a lot faster than I do. But in my case, as I told you, this is early concept, and I just recently transferred from Spark Bloodmage. So more than half of these items is on the Spark Bloodmage, but I'm just working on this, and I just wanted to share with you how it looks and how it plays. So basically, this is everything what I covered in this case. I really like to play with this build. It's actually, you have pretty huge range. As you can see, I can just cast my spell right here out of the screen, and mobs will still take the damage. It has a really big AoE, so you have no problems doing rituals, breaches, stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. It just does basically all the content, just not as fast as other builds, just because of like my take on this one. But there's plenty, as I told you, there's plenty of things which you can upgrade, improve, do your own research, and so on. And as I told, this is the just early concept, so I will try to make it as better as I go. But even for now, we have no problems whatsoever, just cruising through the maps, and there's not much needed. But I just want to invest a little bit more into it, just to get really better wand in this case, better rings, and stuff like that, and then see how we can actually do and how much damage we can do if we invest quite heavily in this. So yeah, that was my take on this Hexblast Despair casting Bloodmage build, and basically that's it. So give me your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Stay chill, hit hard, and see you in the next one. Bye.